I'm gonna go tomorrow, but I was wondering if they looked.
I was gonna wait for Saturday, because it's here Saturday. Then they voted. I don't know. I hadn't made it to my home. I don't know. My schedule, yeah.
He's not really good as a contract planner. Very transition setting.
You mean, I've said it?
Unfortunate.
Oh, we will not be voting here.
No, they didn't use this as a polling location during the selection.
But then you're gonna have to go to.
Yeah.
Boyd.
I'll go tomorrow, I'll let you know how it reads.
Boyd's pretty easy.
Yeah, boys, easy, there's never a line.
Okay.
You're teaching the summer.
Yes, I can turn on.
It starts in, June, May, you actually get,
She can take a class a week. I mean, if you go there and answer questions, I'm going to ask that. Because they start trying to put in this. In June, I'm probably going to take years to go. Yeah, I'm taking this class. They go get this on. Feed them hot dog, hamburger. We go outside.
Class.
oh, yeah, Parks and Rec.
It's one remember.
I also heard.
It's secret.
He's here tonight.
Jimmy.
No, Jimmy, yeah. Yeah. He's been put on Facebook.
Yeah.
The construction manager on that.
Yes, so you heard about it. I think he's gonna be.
Well, originally, he planned on retiring in November. And so. She's gonna make that. I was like, Bruce would be originally.
Then what?
You want to merge it or something?
I'm always watching third wheel. I may never get elected, but I'm always going to sit there.
Is it?
Call me Abraham Lincoln. I'll never get elected, but then I'll end up president.
You gonna run for mayor?
John did a fabulous job. I'm so glad y'all flipped me sideways and go, no. I'm like, yes.
Hi, Robin. Hey. Are you, going for that African support group, or you got that? You want to be very nervous. Comment on the Capitol jacket. I see.
Hey, Mr. John, Mayor, I'm the City Administrator, Mayor.
How you doing?
Mr. John, Mayor.
John.
Administrator.
Mayor John and.
And the other John.
It's 7:02, so we'll get started if that's all right. We'll open this city council meeting for the city of New Fairview for Monday, May the 2nd, 2022. We'll start with the roll call. John Taylor.
Stephen King.
Julie Berger.
Scott Johnson.
Unfortunately, everyone's here. And unfortunately, that everybody's here. Unfortunately, that's all we have.
Thank you. Very good.
Yes, just this week. So if y'all will join me, pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag, honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
I haven't rehearsed that one, so I read it.
So at this time, we'll move on into the work session, and we'll start with number 3 there, receive a report and hold discussion regarding and launching of Civic Gov.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll take that item. So we have contracted with Civic Gov, it was called WAG's SIS Technology Group, to help us out with a end-to-end documentation, workflow management, public engagement functionality that's going to help us with our permitting, our planning, our zoning, our contractor licensing, our code enforcement, and other safety inspections that we do throughout our work here. It's also going to help us start to establish that organizational knowledge that we're going to need. They're actually going to do a quick demonstration so that you'll be able to see it. But the beauty of this is not just for staff, but the public will also be able to benefit from having this, because we're going to go ahead and post it so that they'll be able to access it and do some things remotely. So I'm going to turn it over. Do we have them on already?
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be Jim?
Bill and Jennifer are on.
Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to the Civic Gov folks so they can do just a quick demonstration about the software, and the software is being tailored just for our needs. That's what they do. They come into the city and they tailor it for what we have. So like, for example, we're not doing fire inspections here yet, maybe someday in the future. So that component goes out, but we do septic inspections, quite a few of those, right? Because that's the nature of our community here. So we're going to make sure that's added on there as well. Okay, so it's
Strictly, if you can remember, someone to remind the city how long we've been in this process, when we started this process.
Oh, that's a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was April, May of last year when we started this.
Right.
So
So at some point, we will do fire inspections because that's part of the safety
Yes.
initiative that we voted on 4 months ago, was it, Steve, or part of the fire department stuff? Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
Very much.
keep that in mind.
yeah, so when we get that, there's we can modify one of the modules to be able to add that as well. So that's the beauty of this too. If you can tailor it, add things to it, or take things away from it as needed. We're looking at maybe trying to launch the permitting and the planning modules in May, maybe, if we get everything worked out. But definitely by June. And then we're still working on the code enforcement module, but that one will get launched pretty soon as well. Right, so Jennifer, are you on?
Hello, John. Yes, hello, council. I am on. We also have Bill Gaw, our solutions director for Civic Gov, also one of the founders of the product. And Bill is actually going to take us through can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you, but it's kind of garbled.
Yeah, it's kind of garbled, Jennifer.
Okay.
We're working on the volume part too. So keep talking.
Okay. So, Bill, we want to thank you for having us. Bill Gaw, the solutions director, is going to walk us through your installation. As he said, as John said, that we have been working on this for a while. It kind of paused for a little bit while administration changed, but we're back up and running. Okay, Bill.
Okay, Jennifer, thanks. Hi, folks. So I'm Bill Go. I'm going to turn my camera on for a minute just so I don't slow down too much. It looks like we're having a little bit of a lag communicating in time with you. Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes. Very well. Very well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. So I am a solutions director slash engineer on the Civic Gov team. And so I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough, explain the processes that we have available, where we're at with the software right now, and answer any questions that you may have. So give me a second here to launch my screen over. Just going to shut off my camera. Okay. Can you folks see my screen okay? You should see a dashboard with a bunch of red.
They can't
Oh.
see words. That's the word.
I'm sorry, I can't, I couldn't hear you. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, we can't see your screen, your desktop yet.
It has from inside the
Okay.
meeting.
I'm gonna try and,
I can see the screen, so I don't know if there is a lag down
Okay.
there at the city council, but I can see it.
It's up in the meeting, but I can't cast from the meeting to our screens that we have up in here.
Oh, so it's on the computer that our secretary's at, but it's not on our presentation screen. So we have the presentation you sent us up on our screens. So if you just tell her, she'll flip through the pages.
Well, they're showing you.
They're showing us the actual model.
Oh,
Yeah, this is just background information on Civic that we provide.
all right, if it's easier, folks, if you want to present, if you can show that slideshow so that I can see it and I can just kind of walk through the slides with you if that's easier. If you're still not seeing my screen, then there's some kind of delay. Let me try it one more. So you're only seeing it on that desktop, then it's not projecting up onto your screen.
That's unfortunate, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, there's no way to cast from the side of the meeting. That's why we asked for a presentation, because there's no way to cast to the screen screens up here. I can cast from here.
Just give us one more minute, we're still looking.
Sure, no worries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If you're casting that slideshow that's on your desktop to the screen, couldn't you cast what you're seeing from my presentation up there as well? Or is it blocking it somehow?
She's gonna give it a go.
Okay, thanks.
So and I don't know how she has it set up that those are presenting, but if those present, then I should be able to do something with a mirror. And I can't.
Yeah, you should.
Bill, can you
It's not
pull it back,
giving
can
me
you
the-
pull your screen back up?
Sure, I'm gonna reactivate my screen, folks. Okay, my screen should be live now.
Yeah, it doesn't see those at all, so I don't know how she's presenting from here. All right, I see your screen, Bill. You're on this desktop, but you're not on the presentation screens. Brooke is going to check that.
Okay, very good.
But if nothing else, we do have the PowerPoint presentation that you sent to us.
Sure, and if, I know you folks have a lot to discuss at this meeting tonight. If it's easier, if you can, I know before I saw the slideshow on my screen. If you want to bring that back up, and I'll just, if somebody wouldn't mind just sliding through, I can kind of explain it through the slides. And we can try it that way. Whatever's easier for you.
Bill, we're seeing it.
See it now?
Yay!
Good job, Brooke.
All right, great. So you guys should be seeing the calendar and a bunch of red boxes on the screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, terrific, great. I love it when a plan comes together. So just to do some housekeeping stuff, I'm just confirming we have about 10 minutes to give you the overview. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome, great. Well, thanks for having us today, this evening. I do appreciate you guys taking your time. I know you're very busy. So CivicGov, just a brief background, it is a web application. It's hosted in the cloud. So what does that mean for you? It means everything is our responsibility. The servers, the connectivity to the internet, not your local connectivity, but the connectivity with the servers out from our system. We use Rackspace and/or AWS. So everything is managed by us. We keep you up and running. We take care of the backups. We do all of that. You can get to the CivicGov web application from any mobile device that you have. Responsive design. It'll work. Your inspectors in the field will be able to use their smartphones, their tablets, whatever you're going to grow into. It's for the most part operating system and device agnostic. It'll work on any device, any operating system that you may have. Works offline. There's a mobile application that if you're working out in the field doing inspections, whether they're building, fire, code enforcement, whatever type of inspection, there's an offline app, mobile application that's available that'll actually let you complete inspections offline if you don't have internet connectivity. So what you're seeing on my screen here is the dashboard. This is the staff side, and then I'm going to give you a brief tour of our public access portal where the public can collaborate with municipal staff and process applications, submit complaints, and request inspections, as well as manage licensing systems. We follow a dashboard concept. The purpose of the dashboard is at-a-glance information. Their metrics are analytics to get you to your information quickly. So right here from the first screen, when staff log in, across all the modules that you're going to use with us, we can track basically the health of your operation. Immediately, we can see any past due invoices, any complaints that are past the resolved by date, any expired permits or permit inspections that are past due, tracking business license, fire safety inspections, just many metrics that allow the staff to get to data and make sure the workflow is appropriate so records aren't getting lost, delayed, or behind schedule. You're going to find these dashboards within each system. So how many systems do we have in the CivicGov product? There's 6. There's a licensing, a business licensing component that also works to satisfy the contractor licensing monitoring requirements of the building permit system. There's a permitting and inspection system typically used for building permits, but it can be used for other permit-like activities. So we have health departments that use it for food service operation permits or temporary event permits. The project system is your planning and zoning system. That system has been fully configured for you and complete. We did provide your previous team, and I believe at least 2 of your current engineers, training on it. We don't believe that they actually started using it though, or went live with it. So we're going to come back around and offer some training on that. And by the way, just to step back a little bit, we do have the permitting system complete, but it may not be the way your current current staff require it to be. So we've sent you some documents and we're waiting to get those back so that we can tweak this module the way you need it. So hopefully that'll be the second one that'll be operational for you. Beyond planning and zoning, we have a code enforcement system, and under that system, there's 3 independent areas: a fire safety inspection system, and then the last 2, the citizen request and concern and the citation violation system. These last 2 work together that I'm highlighting here on the left to form the basis of your code enforcement system. If used correctly, you can monitor a complaint from the time a complaint comes in through the online portal, or the public calls in or walks in or emails a complaint or phones one in, to going out doing a field inspection. And if you've sustained the complaint, meaning you found code violation evidence, you can escalate it into the violation system and track it. This system will track you all the way through from the time you're aware of a violation, whether it's property maintenance, noise, any type of abatement violation, tall grass, weeds, similar. It'll track you through all the processes, all the notices. Abatement processing, we can help you track if you have to send out fees for abatement work. Basically, if you have to go out and mow their lawn for them, it'll help you track all of that right through. Hopefully in the unlikely event that they don't respond and has to go to court or similar actions, we'll be able to track that all the way through. So those are our main systems. Now, to make all of this work, there's a bunch of other stuff that comes along with it that we call core functionalities. One of them is the dashboard that I just showed you. The other one is an asset management system, a property record system. These are your tax parcels. Right now we're consuming GIS data. We recently found out there's another GIS source, and you folks are kind enough to be working to obtain that information for us. But we have your tax parcels in the system. We've been tracking them. All your parcels are in here, and we can bring up any parcel and we've consumed all of the GIS data. All of the permits, the licensing, planning and zoning, code enforcement, everything I just mentioned, in most cases will link back to a tax parcel record. So your team, your staff will be able to open the record and quickly see everything that ever went on at a specific property location or a specific business if you're going to use licensing. I can see all the information related to tax assessment in here, the occupancy class, property information. Every record that was ever issued to the specific location. And folks, I was asked to show your live system. So there's not too many records in here. We have 1 or 2 test records, so I don't have too much to show you. So a lot of these you're going to see as blank until you folks start conducting your testing. But every permit, certificate, every complaint, violation, fire safety record, every fee or fine you ever assigned to that specific property address or to that owner is tracked, as well as all the other information in here. We have a fully active and operational GIS system, minus some areas of your municipality that are missing, and we became aware of that because I think it's a separate, if I remember what Brooke told me, it's a separate GIS system, and you guys are working on that. The end result, once it's complete, you'll be able to pull up all the open records. Right now, you only have project test applications in here for planning and zoning, but we'll plot all of your open records on the map, your open permits, your open code violations, fire safety inspections, and they're linked right to a tax parcel. So if I click on this record, it'll give me the information and say, hey, this is a planning and zoning site inspection. I can click it. It'll take me right to the record. Sorry, folks, just 1 minute. I'm having a little trouble with my microphone. Stand by 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My mic kept dropping off for some reason. It must be some connectivity issue in the background. I apologize. So here we can go through and we can see, and I can link right to the record. One of the popular features of using this GIS system is your field staff, let's say your code enforcement staff, can be driving around on any street, anywhere where we have a mapping. And if they observe a code violation, such as tall grass and weeds, junk cars, property maintenance, they can simply click on that property record and instantly issue a violation right from the map. They can generate all this information. They can track it all. And folks, this is all live. This is your map. It is totally live, minus some missing parcels that we'll address. So you'll be able to track all that information. You could do other things like actually create permit applications right from the map as well. So if you have staff that like to use the maps, it's great. Mostly the maps are used as reference so that you can see open records, quickly click on them, see the history of the parcel. And for adding records, most common, it's the violation code enforcement process, adding them in there. Any questions on that so far or anything?
Yeah. Could you scroll down on that box to see what other information is available?
Sure.
Good eye, Steve.
He's.
I couldn't read it.
Hopefully I didn't pick anyone's house that's on the board right now or anything like that. If I did, I promise. If I did, I promise it was totally random and John did not set this up.
Good nice working with you.
So is that good? Did that answer your question?
Yes, that's a lot of information. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
you
it's
can reference by the map, or you can actually go to the menu on the beginning page and pull it up that way too. But the map is totally interactive to all this information, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's correct. Yeah, you can, if you don't have to use the map. It's an added feature. It is included with your system, but yes, you can go right here and I can just do a search right through all your records and get to the same information. Absolutely. So one of the other, I'm sorry. Well, one of the other core features that is included in the process here is invoicing system. Now, we're not accounting software, just to be clear, but we can export the data out to your current accounting software. But we do have an extensive dashboard and invoicing system. So across all the modules you're going to use, we can track all the invoices you're generating. And if you're going to eventually integrate a payment processor into the software, the public online can actually go online through the citizen portal that I'm going to show you in a little bit, and they can actually pay all these invoices right online through a payment processor. So we'll help you track all these invoices. We have a built-in customer account So everyone you bill through the system gets a unique customer ID number. So it's a very robust general ledger system that supports double entry accounting and invoicing capability. There's complete reporting system built in. Every module has a reporting system. You can export these reports out to CSV. You can generate PDFs of the reports. Very easy to use interface. We give you a bunch of what we call CAN reports that are already configured, but it'll help your staff track information. The purpose of this software is to give you a quick return on the investment, one, and make sure all the records and all the things that you're collaborating with the public. And the public to us is usually the residents, the businesses, the property owners, the contractors. That's typically the public. So all these records that you're engaging with them on and collaborating with them on, we're going to help you manage the workflow and ensure everything's done in a timely manner based on your requirements.
Bill,
So let's take a.
Maybe in the interest of time, we could jump over to the citizen portal now, just because we are a little bit over.
Sure, Jennifer. So what we have here is, this is the citizen portal, and the staff will be able to, the public will be able to register and log in here, and they'll be able to do planning and zoning applications. They'll be able to submit permit applications online. The contractors will be able to request inspections and monitor those inspections. I'll be able to submit contractor or business licensing. You don't, at the time, you weren't going to utilize the full business licensing system. It was mostly for contractors. And you'll also be able to file complaints. All of the records that they process through this system, and this one is not yours, by the way. We don't have yours configured yet. That's one of the last things we'll do for you. This is just a look and feel to let you see what it looks like. So the public can actually go through an application process, and all of those records actually show up in the system. So given that I'm over time, I don't have too much else to show you, but hopefully we covered all the bases. So I'll turn it back over to you folks for any questions.
I'm good. That's very impressive.
All right, folks. Well,
Good?
We're good.
Okay,
All right.
so we're trying to get this thing launched, hopefully, in May, the end of May, at least for the planning, module, and then the permitting on the heels of that. Hopefully May, if not, early June.
Sounds great.
Okay?
Yes.
all right, folks. Well,
For your
thank you
time.
very much for your time tonight. We appreciate it. You have a good night and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll move along and we'll receive an update and hold discussion on the comprehensive plan and the work done by the University of North Texas Department of Public Administration students.
Yes, sir. So just real quickly, at the end of 2021, the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission apparently finished working with Texas Rural Leadership Program on strategic planning. The next steps were to look for completing a comprehensive plan and a branding guide. The city entered into a memorandum of understanding, or MOU, with the University of North Texas Department of Public Administration Urban Policy and Planning Program, as well as Ashline and the Antero Group for the development of a comprehensive plan. That started in January of this year. It's going to be a year-long project, and it's going to culminate with the completion and presentation to the City Council in December of this year with an actual comprehensive plan. In the meantime, though, the students wanted to give an update to the council as to what they've done so far during the spring semester, and then we're going to be working with them during the summer. So we'll probably be bringing back another update and probably having a joint workshop between the Council, Planning and Zoning Commission and this group. I do want to mention a couple of folks that are in the audience today. First of all, let me start with our staff. You all know Barry Hudson with Dunaway and Associates. Barry now has another person who's going to be helping us out with planning and matters, and that's Stephen Cook. Stephen is coming from the city of Euless, and actually Stephen and I used to work at the city of Denton many, many moons ago. So we're going to be working together again. I'm happy to hear that. Dr. Lauren Fisher is somewhere in here. There she is. Dr. Fisher for the University of North Texas. Dr. Simon Andrew, who's currently the interim chair for the Department of Public Administration. Thank you very much, sir, for coming out here. And then, of course, Rick Damsky with Ashton Line, who's actually, I think, to start us off, or the students going to do it.
I think I'll let Dr. Fisher maybe start.
Okay, all right, well then we'll start with Dr. Fisher. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for hosting us today. So the students are going to give a short presentation on some of the preliminary analysis they've done across certain chapters of the comp plan today. And then we have a plan to kind of move forward with the summer and then into the fall with some more community outreach and starting to get some feedback on some different. Just takes a minute. You're right. Okay, great. So just to give you a little bit of background in terms of what we're doing in the course. So I am a professor of urban planning. I've been at UNT for 3 years. It is typical in urban planning programs that students work with clients as part of their learning trajectory. And so they typically take on things like comp plans or watershed protection plans or housing plans. So this is one of our first opportunities to start doing this at the University of North Texas, since our planning program is fairly new. Our MPA program is nationally ranked. It is a very strong program, so this is an opportunity to sort of build. So just sort of showing you some of the course background and some of the opportunities that we've done. This is a flyer for our summer course. But we see this as a fantastic opportunity for New Fairview to sort of lead the way and how a community can grow while preserving their sort of regional or rural viewpoint and keeping the values that we have as a community, but still responding to some of the pressures that you're facing being on the edge of the DFW area. So we see this very much as a learning from each other experience. We bring some expertise in planning and policy and infrastructure financing. The students are learning to be experts in public administration and management, but you are the experts along with the residents on what your community needs and on how your community is going to grow. So today the students will be presenting some information that's sort of just background analysis that they've been able to cobble together from different data sets that are out there. But this summer we'll be moving into more of our forward-facing kind of community engagement tasks where we'd like to learn what residents want to see out of New Fairview and how we can sort of put some of those ideas and visions into place to help New Fairview grow in a way that everyone who lives here can be proud. So we're here today to share our findings, and I think I will go ahead and turn over, right? A little bit just sort of about a comprehensive plan and how this fits into the bigger vision for the community.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. As I said, my name is Rick Adamski. I'm with the firm Action Line. We have worked we worked for about 19 communities in Texas of all different sizes and throughout the state, but we're based in Dallas. This is really, I think, an opportunity to get the students to do something, working with professionals that actually is a real plan. This is not meant to be just something that sits on the shelf. This is meant to really respond to what the community needs and what the community wants. A comprehensive plan, to the extent that anyone may not be as familiar with it, is intended to guide future land uses of the city. It's meant to recommend investments and policies that support the long-term goals. And it lays the foundation for the actual codes and regulations, but it's a separate process. So they're typically separate documents, but they're meant to inform each other. So this is a basis for making investments. This helps to build an agreement on a shared vision. It also provides legal protection for the city's decisions, and it also helps the city to obtain grants, as well as to assess trade-offs and potential scenarios. So there's a lot of reasons to do this and to make sure that the process is right. So as was said, we're working right now on some chapters on specific planning topics that the students will talk a little bit about. We're also starting to look at scenario planning to kind of look at what type of choices and trade-offs the community might make. We have another semester that's coming up for the summer that we're going to be working on some stuff on the planning process, on the integration of the UDO, and we have some stuff coming up on community branding. So there's a lot of different things that we have in this agreement that we're going to be working on together. So I won't go through reading all of this to you, but we'll be sending everybody a copy of this. But some of the issues that I think we need to look at is going to be what are some likely scenarios, what are some decisions and choices the city could be making, what are the fiscal impacts, obviously how the city will get enough water, what the market looks like to an extent for the city to reach its goals. This is not a market study, but we'll be moving in that direction. Local citizen support, what are likely to be flexible in terms of trade-offs, how obviously can the city work around gas and oil infrastructure, manufactured housing district, and how the city will be prepared for emergency. So we're still learning a lot, but we're finding at least some initial findings and hoping that we're asking a lot of the right questions this early in the process. As one of the students pointed out, there's challenges in terms of the need for diversity of housing, in terms of employment and retail opportunities. There's a need to improve roads and infrastructure. So there's got to be a real strategy that looks at the data in order to figure out what needs to happen going ahead. Some possible scenarios that we're looking at. One is that everything builds according to current zoning. Another is that maybe you look at having, 1 acre lots throughout the city. Another scenario that we'll be discussing, especially this next semester, is perhaps some type of rural agricultural tourism that can enhance the rural community in the natural areas, but still perhaps develop certain areas of higher intensity. And then we have these 4 groups that have come up. I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the finance group, since the person who's working on that is not there. But we also have someone from infrastructure, land use, and emergency management. So right now, we're going to have this presentation. We're going to hold it one more time after we hear what you feedback here. And we're also going to have an existing conditions report that we're passing on. So we're trying to figure out what's going on for all of this. So we want to introduce our team, of course, share our findings, make sure that we're on the right track. We've gotten a lot of information very recently, getting guidance on the next steps and then setting the foundation for the summer semester. We had to go through a lot of steps without having all the data. So we're trying to do a little bit of catch up on this. Just briefly going through what's been found so far in terms of the financial stuff. There's still some information that we still need. But we're trying to understand, especially what is the budget, what is the debt, what type of grants does the city have, and then what are opportunities. Ultimately, for us to do a comprehensive plan that actually means anything and doesn't just sit on the shelf, we really have to understand what's the budget going to look like, and if X, Y, and Z scenario happen, what is the budget going to look like in that case? So we see here, of course, that the fiscal 20 revenues came in over what we expected. That we have property taxes, sales and beverage taxes, license and permitting that came up to a lot. We're looking at other things that could be potential sources of funding. For example, we know that there's been discussion about having development fees, and that may be a factor in the future. When we looked at current debt, we know that there's a $3 million bond that has been taken out, and that a lot of the funds have been used for the roads, and that the remainder of funds are going to be utilized for street maintenance in the future. And we know that there have been some recent grants for street repairs, for city hall lighting, that there's been some matching amounts from the city. Another thing that we're looking at going forward are what are some other potential grants? What are some strategies that the city may need in order to help make ends meet in the future? That's going to be something that we expect to be pretty big in the next semester. So some of the hurdles that we've noticed, obviously water infrastructure is a big issue that's going to face the community, that is facing the community. Current residents, we see that most of them are not supportive of tax rate of increases in tax rates. And it's unclear if long-term revenue is sufficient to meet long-term community needs. So we're looking at the budget and coming up with scenarios to help the city make an informed decision. With all of that, it's kind of an introduction of the finances, and I can certainly do my best to address any questions or other information at the end of the presentation here. But I'm going to ask Natalia to come up, and she's going to talk a little bit about some of the infrastructure stuff that she's found, some initial findings, and maybe talk maybe about some questions we think we need to get asked. Thank you very much.
Excuse me 1 second. Brooke, some citizens are asking if you can turn the camera back on for them so they can see all this. Thank you. They can't see on one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Are they wanting to see what's being presented because the camera's on?
A few of them said they can't see anymore. It was turned off.
Well, they can see, I can see, they can see us. Are they wanting to see the presentation? Because I'm only
I
checking.
guess.
I think
They're answering me, you right now. They said it got turned off and it didn't get turned back on.
Can they see
He
it?
said the camera's blocked.
That's the camera, there's nothing blocking. I don't know what they're seeing because I can see it on our end. Can you see the presentation now?
He said that is shared, it's not shared or something.
I am.
All right, thank you. I mean, all we can do is try. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. My name is Natalia. My fellow student Jerry and I worked on the infrastructure portion. So I'll touch on water, transportation, and oil wells. And I'm sure that a lot of this is just repeat for what you guys already know, but we really wanted to
Move to the next page.
yeah. Okay, we tried to use as many available sources as we had, and really focus our energy on understanding what the residents of the community want and need. And so we focused on the citizen satisfaction survey that was conducted last year, and it highlighted that residents were dissatisfied with the quality of city water and sewer services, as well as maintenance of city streets. And so we just want to do everything we can to kind of support that in our presentation. So I'll just start off with water infrastructure. Once again, it was highlighted over 72% of residents were either dissatisfied or very dissatisfied with the quality of drinking water. So we looked into the Public Utility Commission. That is a map. From them, they issue certificates of convenience and necessity, which basically allow retailers to provide water in specific areas where they have those licenses. For now, Monarch and Aqua Texas are the two private providers, but many residents are serviced by private wells. And there are no comprehensive city services for sewers. All residents and commercial businesses are on septic systems. So we wanted to highlight this because there are a lot of parts of New Fairview that are not under active CCNs, and that provides an opportunity for the city to really take control of those areas and kind of use that as guidance for future decisions. So as we look forward into the research for this portion, we want to explore potential options that give the city varying levels of control for what they can provide for residents. One option is for applying for a municipal CCN for areas that are not already covered, because that would allow the city to have a little bit more I guess, control in the conversations when developers come in and other private providers. There are options for working with existing utilities like the Westwise Special Utility District that uses water from Lake Bridgeport, creating a city-owned utility. So we'll want to explore those scenarios and give you guys the best kind of comprehensive options for what you can do for the future for residents. And shifting into transportation infrastructure, one of the benefits of this is that water and services our infrastructure can be built at the same time as the transportation infrastructure, and that is a long-term savings for the city, because we recognize obviously that being cost sensitive is very important. And with that, again, we referred to the citizen satisfaction survey for the conditions of the streets. And we looked at some data from the US Census. And so it kind of showed us two highlighted points. One, that nearly 70% of residents work outside of the county. So they commute quite a bit. The average commute time is nearly 40 minutes compared to a Texas average about 27 minutes. So the roads that you do have are seeing a higher level of usage because of the amount that people are commuting. And as the community grows, as the entire area basically grows, that kind of pressure will increase. So this is a map from the North Central Texas Council of Governments. They did a study that looked at congestion densities. That's basically the amount of traffic. And this is from 2018. And this is what it will look like in 2045. And because of just the sheer number of people that are moving to the area, it's going to create a lot of pressure on the transportation network that already exists, and it will link into New Fairview. And so we just want to make sure that we're taking that into consideration for the comprehensive plan going forward. So we were able to get some data recently, including the pavement management program report. That was really beneficial. And looking at this map is from the city GIS online map. And so it showed us that New Fairview has 32 lane miles of paved surface, 19 miles of asphalt, which is about 60%, and 5 miles of concrete, which is about 15%. And that obviously has implications for street maintenance and longevity. Asphalt tends to last on average about 20 years versus concrete is about 35, but concrete's more expensive. So there's always trade-offs in these kinds of considerations. And that report also, as well as the CIP impact fee study, which was also shared with us over the last couple of weeks, really emphasize that there are a lot of options for the city that's not just fully repaving everything. But we wanted to emphasize that street maintenance, not just street expansion, is an important consideration because of cost, in part due to differences in asphalt and concrete services, like I mentioned, but also just increases in cost of construction and materials and labor costs. So this is just an example from that report that shows that just a small section of South FM 2264 would cost like $11.5 million. And so that's a really large amount of money, and we recognize that. So as we look into the future for what we'll explore in upcoming semesters, we want to find as many opportunities as we can to help the city work with regional partners for options. So the Wise County is obviously a partner. I know that the city has worked a little bit with them for things like Country Road 4717. But there are other partners like the COG, the Council of Governments. They have tools that the city can work with them to try to cover some of the costs. TxDOT as well. Currently, I found this on their website, has a request for bid for resurfacing roadways. This is along US 81 or 287, and that is a tentative date of February of 2023. So as we move forward with the research that we're doing, we want to be able to find other opportunities just to help you guys along in that process. And then just shifting to gas and oil well infrastructure. Obviously, Fairview is a part of the Barnett Shale, and that has been a big part. And even just driving in today, I saw the wells, and so they are a very prominent part of the community that needs to be considered as part of long-term planning. And over the last 7 years, as you can see on the chart, the new permits that have been issued have dropped significantly. And the current ordinance was created during the boom time. And so the purpose of that ordinance was primarily to restrict the ability of the wells to be located near existing buildings. But with fewer permits and production being down, there is opportunity to amend that and to kind of create an update to it. And so we got some GIS data. We're working on getting additional updated data from the Railroad Commission. So this is based on the most recent numbers we have, but obviously it's over 1,000 wells, many of which are still active. That is just something that's kind of unconventional, but sort of conventional for this area. And so as we continue to do our research, we'll look into what other cities in the area are doing, including Fort Worth and Denton. They can serve as templates for the ordinances that can be updated with smaller setback requirements. as well as inspections and land use limitations, and then working with the Railroad Commission as much as possible to see what we can come up with that really integrates this into the community, and with an understanding that that's a big part of New Fairview's future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great.
So next up, we're going to have Emma. She's going to be talking about land use, and a lot of what we're going to be doing going forward is going to be about potential projections and build up and so forth, but a lot of this is going to be about existing conditions. So I'll let go ahead.
Sorry, what was her name? Emma.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
So as Rick said, I'm going to be talking to you guys today about land use and some of the research we've done on that. So just to start off, we wanted to emphasize the importance of land use. Land use is a little bit different from zoning. It's not a legal binding thing like your code of ordinances or your zoning code, but rather just to outline of where you guys want to go and what kind of things you want to incorporate moving forward. So this is a land use map provided by the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and I apologize, the city boundaries are a little hard to see on here, but as you can see, most of the land in New Fairview and around New Fairview, as you know, is undeveloped agricultural land, with some pockets of residential and a little bit of commercial. So based on your current zoning, this map I have up here differs from the previous map in that this is legally what you guys have zoned out to be developed. So you'll notice that agriculture is the most prominent. You have 2 planned development districts, as are in the purple. Commercial and manufacturing corridor along Highway 287 with additional commercial near the city center, and manufacturing and single-family housing throughout. So based on your zoning now, we predict that your current trajectory is going to bring an increase in tax revenue with development in the residential, commercial, and manufacturing zones. But build out under these conditions will still leave a lot of rural area left. And then these are some projected demographics. So what I really want to highlight here is if you'll take a look at the HH pop column as well as the EMP columns. These reflect projections for household population and employment for Wise County. As you can see, from now to 2045, you guys are projected to have a lot of growth in this area in both of those areas. So then bringing into some community-driven land use suggestions, as Ms. Holly pointed out, we've been kind of focusing on your community satisfaction survey. So we noticed that there's a low citizen satisfaction with recreation opportunities. So we suggest designating more areas for open space and recreation. And then additionally, we noticed that there was low satisfaction with local shopping, dining, and entertainment options. So we suggest developing a commercial district in select areas of the city, which you guys do already have planned out with some of the developments you have coming in. But of course, you don't have to incorporate commercial throughout the whole city. You can still maintain that rural character you guys want and just have that commercial limited to select areas. And kind of going along that same vein, we just put in this map to kind of point out where you guys have potential commercial uses coming in. So you have that commercial corridor zoned out along 287 as well as Shoe Branch and Constellation Lake on the east side of the city. So we also wanted to present to you guys some alternative land use and niche concepts. These are going to be more innovative ideas that aren't traditional development, but rather, work with the character you guys want to bring while also bringing in more revenue, more visitors to your community. So just some key characteristics, again, generating revenue. They'll have low impact on the current character of the land, encourages placemaking, and ultimately it'll help shift the tax burden onto non-residents who attract visitors, helping you guys ultimately maybe keep that property tax down and more so build your sales tax base up. So our first concept was agritourism. Rick kind of touched on this earlier, but a good case study of this. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been, but to Texas Tulips and Pilot Point, very, agricultural based, low impact type of revenue source that brings in a lot of visitors. Then we have outdoor recreation. So of course, this can be a lot of different things, but this example we pulled was for the Cologne County Pickleball Park in Salina. Again, you can see really low impact on the land, but still bringing in, visitors and also people in the community to use this resource. And the third concept is maybe like an outdoor venue area. This can also serve a lot of different purposes for, again, your community and visitors, such as, being a wedding venue, banquet hall, like a theater, farmer's market lot. This was just a case study we pulled from other very different event centers they have out there. And then finally, our fourth concept is communal spaces. These are not necessarily revenue generating in the way that the other three concepts were, but we still recognize that this is something your community thinks is important. I pulled those two bars on the bottom showing that there's kind of low satisfaction with public place availability and event programming. So on the left, you'll see some Shoe Branch concept illustrations for their communal spaces, which will be open to everybody, not just the people that live there. And then we did note that John talked about, your new EMS building and wanting to do a community event with that. So that's really great. You guys just had your Easter event, which I think went really well. And then John also told us about wildlife, or Texas Parks and Wildlife program you guys have coming in. So, really working towards putting the land into more of those kinds of things. And then we did want to touch on Shoe Branch. We're not associated with Shoe Branch, but we thought it was important to touch on because it is such a large development you guys are coming in. So these are just some general characteristics. You have retail spaces, a variety of housing options, looking to invest in some infrastructure improvement projects. And then also development of community facilities, so a new town hall, fire station, library, things like that for everyone. So housing and floor plans in Shoe Branch, we found that there's going to be about 4,100 single family units with 900 multifamily and mixed use units. That was just from an article online. And on the left, you'll see kind of just a concept map. I'm sure you guys have seen that before. And then we also brought in some concept examples of mixed use styles, kind of what that really could look like for you guys. It doesn't have to be high density, crazy big buildings or anything. It can be more small scale, local, community type vibe. And then the commercial center also in Shoe Branch, we think that'll draw a lot of people in, which again, that's that shifting the tax burden, bringing in a bigger sales tax base to fund the city and ultimately fund things that'll benefit everyone here in Fairview. And then these are just concept illustrations of the civic resources they were proposing. So again, like a fire station, town hall, library, and then community park areas. We also have some other planned developments that are coming in. So Fairview Meadows, Constellation Lake, and Florida Ranch. So I think with Constellation Lake, it's about 2,000 single family homes. And we couldn't find exact numbers for the other two, but likely similar. And these developments we found, they really do want to emphasize that rural makeup that we have in New Fairview. So, just, they're not interested in, building your stereotypical suburban kind of high density homes, but more so, really capitalizing on the country and feel that you guys have out here. So I know it can be concerning when you do have developments coming in and might seem a little threatening to the lifestyle you guys are wanting to have. But it looks like, you have developers that really do want to work with the style and vibe you guys have out here more so than like significantly alter it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. So Adam is going to speak last. One of the things that's in this in the scope that we have is to do something on emergency services. As we've evolved, we think that it's our hope that perhaps maybe we may be able to over-deliver them this year and actually set the foundation for sort of an emergency management plan, which would help to get people to get grants. And B, it can help so that if something does happen, that you can be prepared with FEMA. A lot of times what happens with smaller communities is they don't have kind of the resources in-house to deal with emergencies. Something comes in and they get hit, and then they're not able to really deal with it. So what Adam is doing here is setting the foundations for some disaster planning. And we're looking at this initial phase that's essentially required for an emergency service plan. So with that, Adam, I have any comment?
I'm Adam, and as Rick said, I'll be talking to you all about disaster planning and emergency services. So specifically what I'm going to be talking to you guys about is a community or social vulnerability survey, an introduction to a hazard mitigation plan, and then the opportunities that come from having these two. Starting out with the community vulnerability assessment, it's basically a survey that is taken to identify who is vulnerable in the community. It can help with development, so you know who's where and what groups kind of like to live where, and it helps guiding the city as well in that. As far as vulnerable populations, we're looking at age ranges, people of color, the LGBT community, commuters, and people in poverty. As far as age.
Disabled?
Yes.
Okay.
However, I was just unable in my initial.
Okay.
As far as age demographics go, generally people in retirement age may not have the kind of income to support or rebuild their lives after a disaster hits. The same can be said about children. However, rather than having any income, they're dependent on their parents or families. Sometimes they don't know it's there, especially the children. They hear about these things, they think they're kind of cool, but they don't really know what happens if they get hit by it. And should they be affected by this, they may or may not be able to recover and may end up having to leave to live somewhere else just because they can't rebuild where they are. As far as the people of color and the LGBTQ community, generally they're minorities of communities. They don't have as much of a support system in smaller communities as they are generally minorities. A lot of resources, specifically when looking at the LGBT community, get turned away from a lot of these resources, especially if they're religious based. And they're restricted in their ability to grow the community. Those in poverty and commuters, I want to specifically talk about commuters. As was stated earlier, a majority of your population commute 30 to 45 minutes out of the city to work. They're less likely to be prepared for an incident, especially if they're traveling. They can't. A lot of the space is not necessarily safe. You won't be able to find places to go if a tornado were to hit or severe storms. And especially in those single vehicle households, if their car is destroyed, they may lose their ability to go to work and thus may end up in the poverty section. Now, when we're looking at hazards, there are two specific kinds. We have natural hazards, which include tornadoes, flooding, wildfires, severe storms, and ice and snowstorms. And then man-made hazards, which are the railroad lines, the train wrecks, and the oil wells. Flooding being the primary hazard that y'all face as far as natural hazards go, is the most common in the U.S. It rains everywhere. Rain can vary depending on where it falls. It is the costliest hazard. A lot of times you have to buy out properties to tear them down, or if you want to fix your house, you have to go to completely rebuild. And you have to have special insurance that is not offered through most insurance plans, or if it is extremely expensive. But with that being said, there is a FEMA buyout program, which is a program that would help you as community leaders obtain funds in these more potential flooded areas to buy out those properties and convert them into more public space uses like parks, playgrounds, things that won't lose value if they get flooded. As far as man-made hazards, your primary one, as mentioned earlier, is oil wells. These can be affected by almost every incident that nature can bring release. It can also produce air toxins. It can cause water pollution if they're not capped properly. And if there's a fire, it can be an accelerant or it can be the cause of a fire. Wildfires are increasing in frequency. I know Wise County specifically has been facing a lot of wildfires this spring. They can be started from campfires to people burning things on their property in bonfire situations, or they can just be caused by someone throwing a cigarette out in the wrong spot. And they can happen at any time. So that's one hazard that has to be kept an eye on as well. As we all know, there have been 3 major ice storms in the last 10 years, which is not common for Texas. So ice and snow is becoming more frequent. It can cause an outage of services. It can make the roads more hazardous. And as we saw this past year with the snow and ice storm that we had, Texas systems are not necessarily prepared for long-term service outages or ice and snowstorms. With this being said, the hazard mitigation plan is a plan that is come up with and approved by the city that is submitted to FEMA that allows you to get grants. Right now, there are 2 opportunities that are through the state of Texas supported by FEMA, one of which is open until November, that offers $1.5 million or a portion of it for emergency service and preparedness activities such as building dams in some cases, or here, being able to shore up areas that flood or areas that have a high risk of being affected by one of these hazards. There's another one.
Are these matching grants?
Sorry?
Are these matching grants?
I think they're just full provided by the government. Another one is offered that closes on June 30th. I did not see an amount, but it is more towards being able to do flood buyouts, flood zone mitigation with oil wells. Really, the other one is kind of all encompassing. If you have a hazard, you can apply for it and see if you'll be able to get that money. But it can limit the cost of these preparedness goals to city by subsidizing a lot of that through government grants. That's all I have for you today.
Thank you.
Well, thank everybody for taking time from your busy schedule to hear us and the students present here. As I've said before, we're here as much to learn and listen as we are to present. So we'll definitely want some feedback, and especially as we develop our ideas over the next week for the final presentation and over the next semester. Does anybody have any comments or questions either for myself or Dr. Fisher or the students?
I'm good. I think you have a good feel for thought process up here.
Okay, I'm glad that we did. So thank you so much.
We appreciate your coming.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to the next item on the work session, number 5. Receive a report and hold a discussion regarding the community development block grant funding for the paving improvements of Crestner Lane and Wilson Field.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I'll take that one. Just want to give some background information for the council and the public that's here. Back in January of 2021, the council passed a resolution appointing Trailer and Associates as the community development fund administrator for the city so that we could participate in the Texas Department of Agriculture Community Development Block Grant Program, or CDBG. The city was awarded a $350,000 grant with a local match, our money, of $83,784 for the reconstruction of Lakefield Lane and Cresser Lane. However, Lakefield Lane was included in a reconstruction project already, so it was replaced with Wilson Court. We're in the process of replacing it with Wilson Court, I should say. A request for qualifications was put out by the city for an engineer firm to help us with this, and Freeman Milliken Engineer Incorporated was selected to be the engineers for the project. However, it was determined that Cresser Lane and Wilson Court had already been surveyed by our current engineering company, which is Pacheco Coke. So we're in the process of switching out the engineering firm from Freeman Milliken to Pacheco Coke. So because a lot of the work has already been done and paid for, so no sense doing it all over again. And a portion, however, a portion of Wilson was not surveyed and designed, about 650 feet. So we're in the process of getting that surveyed so we can go ahead and finish the design out and have it ready.
John, if I interrupt a second, sir, I'm a little lost where Cresser Lane came from. It was originally Latham and Wilson Court, I thought, that were in the CB.
No, Latham never was. Latham was, surveyed, that it was acceptable at that time. Since then, it's degraded.
That's the one that, okay, it was the degrading place Lane was. Okay, Cresser Lane's not ringing a bell with me. I don't remember.
It's always been in this, because this was based on income.
There's only 2 roads that qualify for the grant, and it was one of those.
Right. Yeah, it's just Cresser Lane did not ring a bell at all. Wilson Court.
It's further in as far west as you can go.
Yeah, Wilson Court was in dire need and they fell within the grant. So.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, John.
No worries, that's fine. I did visit with Wise County Commissioner Biff Haynes, and he has agreed to go ahead and reconstruct this road, which is great because that's probably the only way we're going to be able to afford to do those 2 roads with the money that we have. Just a preliminary estimate from the Freeman Milliken engineering firm as to what it's going to cost to do Wilson Court and Cresser. And it already exceeded the budget that we had. So fortunately, the Wise County is willing to work with us. However, we are going to have to do a formal interlocal agreement, or ILA as they're called, with Wise County, and he's agreed to do that. As a matter of fact, he's taking it to Commissioner's Court to get the ball running. We'll go ahead and the county engineer will be visiting with our engineer. I'm working with the comptroller's office from the county. I'm going to have our attorney work with the county attorney. So we'll have an ILA drafted, hopefully in the very near future here, to bring to the council to consider. If we pass it, then I'll give it to Commissioner Haynes and he will take it up to County Commissioner's Court. And I understand that typically they let the commissioners do whatever they want as far as the roads in their precincts here in Wise County. So he feels confident he'll be able to get it passed. The only thing is he will not be able to do the work until this fall, which I think is fine because it's going to take us a while to get Jago Public out of Chisholm right now when we're trying to put the final touches. We probably have about another 2 months to go with that project. I will be coming back and briefing you on that project, but we can get them out of the way. We have started the process. The mayor already approved the awarded grant online. We're starting to receive the plethora of forms that are always attached to CDBG grants with all the free money. So we will start filling those out and sending them back. And then I'm also going to be working with our grant administrator to go ahead and amend our application so we can change out the engineering firms and make sure we've got the correct streets as part of the project with the Texas Ag Department. So once all of that is done, probably reaching fall timeframe anyway, and then we can move on. But we can still work on the ILA concurrently. So with that, I stand for any questions. That's all I have here.
Very good. So with that, we'll adjourn our work session at 8:12.
Can we take 5 minutes, John?
Yes, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Break.
Thank you.
Very hard.
Yeah, we'll do it, John. Josh will. Yes, it's just order. It was shown in here, but.
It's good to see you, my friend. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. We got a grant for the park, and we have to match some funds. Match. But anyway. Yes.
I think I shared it on this. Constellation Lakes.
That's for the design of the park, it's have walking trails. No, no, Constellation Lake, those build homes, they're the ones that are gonna be paying for the building of the pavilion. So that is their contribution of money adds up quite a bit. So that helps satisfy a large portion of, not all, of the total contribute towards the grant.
Thank
That's good, that's 1 month was that, you know?
I printed it, left it on my desk, I can download it on my.
It was in March, but that probably has to do with the access. Started doing that.
When they have it here, what?
Some of the early stuff we did, and John was since, then you'll see, John's made a bunch of that, and he's has it labeled to do it next more.
Yeah.
So you can understand what it's for. He's
More itemized.
yes, he's changed that.
Really close it down.
Well, he's kept going in there, taking each little deal, A, B, C, D, C, D, three. So we'll be able to get that next.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what bad here is changing the back from what's we'll fully understand exactly what those goals.
Yeah, it's probably prepared for there.
Yeah.
Tractor repair.
Yeah.
We'll get the water tractor.
It's kind of misleading. Anything for the truck that goes in there, so if it's oil, grease, filters. Yes. But John's working on the connect. Like I said, somebody didn't see the lead line, so we understand that, just. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
So.
It doesn't for me, unless it's a big number, and I go, which way is that?
So I think you'll see the future finances. They're not gonna change, but they'll explain that, yes, they'll be, yes. To be less likely for someone to try to hide if there was someone trying to hide.
Are we planning on
This is
financially? Just a minute.
Yeah, that's what. We didn't know we was going I thought we would do something, that's what he wanted to do. And more, okay, that's
Well, I hope I can hear better up here, because I can't hear for crap out there. So you work at all the hotels, or you got a particular?
We have a specific few we work at, few restaurants we work at, do events, a couple hundred events a year.
Yeah, so you do anything down now?
Oh, yeah, press and board about the whole thing. Make a stand, that's one of my competitors. The restaurant or Valley Side? Is he really? I think it's him, yeah.
really like their big, I like.
Where's he live?
They treated him good. He lived out on Golf Course in, Arlington Ranch, over there off of Bethlehem and other side of 75.
Okay. Garland and Farmers Branch, they border each other?
And that line,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
probably the garden.
Yeah, I played some golf this morning up there. Tennis with North.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And you're here to basically, you should down and get sales for this.
Regular session.
We did the first thing.
It'll get you through the rest of the meeting.
I'm all right, I'm not too bad.
Oh, punching cows, and pushing kids around, and writing outlines.
Pulling cow?
Well, yeah, we're still working with that one cow. And she is almost healed up.
No,
But I mean, it started, she's now down to about that, so we're done for the season.
Kicked me off.
So I just gotta wait till next.
I thought Joe, Sunday,
It was 75. I went through.
yesterday,
Center.
Saturday, he was there to Oklahoma to get hay, he said he's still cattle like crazy.
Leona.
I got a small herd, so thank God, I've gotten through my season. Herding actually this year it started in November, but February 4th, middle of that little ice storm.
Yeah.
This calf lays, the girl lays down and.
Not in the snow.
Leona.
I got two more left.
Do you? I'm done for the season here. I got my four calves sat on the ground.
Kind of hard to take it from being in the.
I got one, if she does this by June 1st, she's done.
And then there's a general service right
She had somebody else.
I'll still be here.
I've done that, worried about coming up to it and go, we did this, it didn't happen tomorrow.
For you?
Put her in the trailer and off she goes.
No.
It's somebody else's problem.
You know what I mean? But my husband's a big city boy.
All right. Yeah, Christmas.
Yes.
We'll call this regular session to order at 8:20. Roll call, John Taylor.
Stephen King.
Julie Berger.
Scott Johnson.
We have a quorum. Then, we're gonna skip it. We're gonna skip the pledge since we already did that once.
Yes, sir.
Move on into, public announcements. And I forgot to announce that at the beginning, so,
Shame.
so if anybody has something they would like to say, please come forward. Not?
Nobody online wants to speak up?
I've not received any requests.
I'm not getting anything from anybody.
I have not had anything turned in or sent in.
Thank you, Brooke.
So with that, we'll move into the consent agenda. So all matters of the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered, there will not be considered separately. So A, approval of the September, October, November, December 2021, January, February, March 22 financial reports, because we haven't done this in a while.
Obviously. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I looked through a lot of those. I was like, oh, my goodness.
Yes, so we did go back to see when that stopped, and it did stop sometime fall of last year for whatever reason. So we're playing catch up here. The good news is they were done each month.
Right.
And for whatever reason, they weren't brought before the council for you guys to approve it like it should be. So we're gonna reset that and set it so that every month we're reviewing the previous month's financials.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So And then approval of city council minutes for January 10th, 17th, and 24th of 2022. Do we have a chance to look at those?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
And we're playing catch up.
Catch up here because January was only.
Yeah, so we're playing catch up. I believe February was already.
February's already
Right,
done.
passed.
We have all but February 7th.
Okay.
That meeting is not done.
And then we're starting to work on March.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we'll be bringing them to you as we get them done.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda items as stated.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and we'll move on to new business. All matters of new business or listed in new business will be discussed and considered separate. C, consider and act on appointing a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yes, sir, Mayor, I'll take that. So we currently have a vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission, one vacancy. We have gone back and we've tried to piece together who was in what place so that we can tell you which vacancy we're trying to fill. Unfortunately, it does not appear that the council actually, they named who's going to be on the commission, but they didn't name what place they're going to cover. So I reached out to the current commissioners, Harvey Berger, David Randolph, Rebecca McPherson, and Marissa Randolph. Neither one of them said they cared as to where they were placed. They would seem to be happy to serve. And so for right now, as you'll notice on your agenda sheet, I just put Harvey place 1, David place 2, Rebecca place 3, Marissa place 4. So right now we have place 5 shown as vacant. We can come back later and actually assign them to specific places. But for now, if you will work with me, you'll notice in the recommended motion, we're actually trying to appoint someone to place 5. We have the application from a Mr. Dennis. Oh gosh, I'm going to say his last name. I'm sorry? Are you here, sir? Is that
Yes,
you?
sir.
Okay, so he is here, Sansusi. Good, I didn't want to mutilate your name. And we verified that he is a resident and he is a qualified voter, which is required in the code of ordinances. And so, we stand for any questions? If not, it's an
Or
action
did
item.
you want him to come forward?
Yeah, if you don't mind, come forward and just kind of give us a brief.
Okay, so,
Great hat.
State your name and where you live.
my name is Dennis Sansucci. I live on 490 Hilltop. Right here. It says Chisholm. Just call it Hilltop.
I don't want to call it, it's called Chisholm Hills, but.
But anyway, so I've got extensive training, qualifications in construction, specifically machinery. I can just about drive anything and work anything. Then I also have multiple years of over-the-road truck driving experience. As you see, I'm an Army veteran.
Appreciate that.
Also did watercraft operations in the Army. I've also spent most of my life rebuilding cars. So, I mean, I'm just jack of all trades, mastered a couple, but not all. And I'm unfortunately retired by disability, so I have plenty of time to do what I need to do for the city of Fairview.
Appreciate that. All.
Excellent.
So are we, make a motion?
Is it, yes, sir, and if you like, we prepared a recommended motion for you to consider.
Any discussion? I'm sorry, John, I'm gonna shut
No,
up.
I'm.
Sure, Tom.
So if anybody has any questions for this, if not, we'll proceed.
I asked my question, I appreciate it.
No, I guess not.
Okay,
I'm good.
okay.
I move to approve the appointment of Dennis Sansucci to the Planning and Zoning Commission, place 5.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if we should say congratulations or.
We appreciate your willingness
Yeah.
to help and serve. So B, we'll go to B, receive, consider, and act on a resolution ratifying the city administrator's contract. So this is the contract we approved, he signed, I signed, we just gotta,
We just
we
needed
did
an official,
official resolution.
we needed an official resolution.
So he's been working for free up to now.
Apparently so.
That would violate a few federal laws. So this is just to make
We
it,
might make that public.
this is just to make it formal that you're adopting by resolution the contract that's already been signed.
So everybody signed? Well, everybody's
Yeah.
getting me.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the boss.
This is the one we walked through in
Yes.
executive
Yes.
session.
And in the packet, you can read it and see the signatures.
Yeah, I thought I saw, I didn't go through it fully. I was cross-eyed by the time I got there. But we discussed it. This is what we're
Yes.
talking about in the executive.
Yes, this is the one that you discussed,
Okay,
but you have to take action formally outside to approve the contract.
Right.
because you can't vote.
you need a resolution from the city.
Yes,
for you to-
yes, sir. And the resolution cites the proceedings and the process that the council went through.
Oh, so there is a formal motion or we have to, is there a motion that we need to make or is
Yes,
it just
and
simple?
Julie, you'll have the pleasure of making this motion.
I would. Do I read this?
Let's just rock the words, so second.
I move to approve a resolution, read all of this right here?
Yes, yes.
Ratifying and approving the city administrator contract with John Carabellis Jr. Can I stand up and clap? Can we? That's it. That's the recommended motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Who's second?
I did.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm actually crying.
Not as much as John is right now.
It has been a wonderful 3 weeks or so.
Oh, good, man. Yeah.
Better than the previous?
Yes, better than the previous and easier than nobody at all.
Yes.
I sat down with him an hour and a half, 2 hours over the week, and that's a whole lot easier than trying to do all this on my own.
Every night,
Yes,
sitting at home doing this.
yes.
Well, we appreciate your help, John. and-
Welcome, really. We're so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. Well, really, hats off to Brooke and Josh. They've done a lot in
Yes.
bringing me up to speed and keeping
No
me on
doubt.
task.
That was a stopgap measure and they did a wonderful job.
Yes, outstanding.
We're proud.
So we move to C, receive, consider, and act on a resolution adding the city administrator as an authorized signer on the city banking and investment accounts.
Yes, so that also needs to be a resolution to allow me to be able to be a signature on the bank as well as with the investment institution that we have. Texas class?
Yes, sir.
Texas class.
So we have,
This resolution cover all of that?
Yes, sir. Why not?
Well, he's got this book. He can do it.
It's essentially the same
You might wanna be
resolution
sharp.
and more or less that was previously approved when the mayor moved over from the
Very good.
road down.
All right, I move to approve / no.
Hey, I'm gonna take it back.
I move to approve a resolution adding the city administrator as an authorized signer on the city's banking and investment accounts. Thank you, John.
do we have a second?
You're welcome.
I second.
All those in favor, say
Aye.
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 Those, that's unanimous. We'll go to D, receive, consider, and act upon the resignation of a council member. Unfortunately, Steve Meissner has moved from our city, so he had to resign. He'll be missed. Didn't see eye to eye, but he was a great person to step up and help his city for many, many, many years. Many years.
He was a very principled
Oh,
individual.
he was.
I didn't necessarily agree with his principles, but you knew where he stood.
Yes, sir.
And he was very principled.
And he always stood up for the citizens. That has to be said.
Always.
And he was a good person for me over the last month, 2 months to send him a little quick email or a text and say,
I don't understand.
yeah, I don't understand. Because he's been here, he's done this, And he was a good shoulder to ask and lean. So excellent.
That's good to
I
know.
appreciate his service. So with that, do we have
I motion that we accept the resignation of Councilman Steve Meisner.
I second.
all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Well, have we moved on? Can I ask questions? Because I'm curious, I haven't.
Can or not?
You have to ask Robert.
That's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry.
Can I, since we've already made the motion to approve it, can I ask some questions on that now that it crosses my mind?
Sure, I mean, if it ends up being too
All right,
much.
so obviously he's not in the city and he's on the ballot.
Okay, so that part isn't, what's on is
Executive session.
it's accepting his resignation. So the questions that you have that are kind of related, tangential, probably best discussed in
Nope,
executive
let's do that.
session. I will say that he will still be carrying on the minutes as being absent. There's a doctrine called the holdover doctrine. So even though you've accepted his resignation until the place is filled, at least for the remainder of this term, he will continue to be on the minutes
He's
as,
acting.
as absent from the meetings.
You got that, Lily?
Yes.
Yeah, I let her know.
So at this time at 8:34, we're going to adjourn to the executive session
Make sure.
to discuss matters relating to real property pursuant to 551.072 Texas Government Code, evaluation of economic development negotiations pursuant to 551.087 Texas Government Code, discuss personal matters pursuant to 551.074 Texas Government Code, discuss IT network or critical infrastructure security pursuant to 551.089 Texas Government Code, to consult with the city attorney pursuant to 551.071 Texas Government Code. The council may go into closed session at this time with permitted by chapter 551 Texas Government Code or chapter 418 Texas Tax Code. Before going into closed session, a quorum of the council must be present. The meeting must be commenced as an open meeting pursuant to proper notice. The presiding officer must announce that the closed session will be held and must identify the sections of chapter 551 or 418 Government Code authorizing the closed session.
Trying to think that.
John, that's important. You said all of it. Be surprised how much body heat.
I forgot to change it. I got it.
Body heat doesn't affect it.
45, so it's a little late.
Hey, John, let me that. Single strap. John, you're right. Donate the. Makes it much better.
Yes.
Yes, that'd be great. I'm kind of like.
I don't know what to do. All I know is we told you, but I'll keep my son.
Oh, wow.
So.
Thank you.
Give you some messages.
Can always expand.
So, from executive session at 9:15.
Hello. Sorry, John, I'm your hammer.
Thank you. So we're back from executive session at 9:15. I guess we'll go over A. So section 551.071, separation agreement between Ben Nyberger and the city of New Fairview.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the separation agreement with Ben Nybarger, the former New Fairview City Administrator, not to exceed $156,000 in final form as approved by the city attorney to be executed by the mayor.
I would like to second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. All right, so with that, we were adjourned.
What about B, Jerry?
Yes,
What
yeah.
about B?
There's no action.
There's no action. Okay.
Who wants to have the pleasure of the adjournment motion?
Go ahead.
Oh, do I have to? You guys are gonna make me cry. This is my last one.
Well, you don't know what the future holds in store.
Well, it's the last one to end, but you still have to show up next time.
Yes.
I do, I have to show for one
You
more.
still have to show up.
So I guess we can adjourn the meeting. Is there anything else that we need to say?
You need to make a motion.
Anything else that you guys need to include? I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting and thank you guys very much.
A second.
So here's another.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Second. Thank you, sir.
Steve?
All right, thank y'all.
I do.
You guys, just the record timing, I just want to say for all the things that are on the agenda, greatly appreciated.
You didn't expect that to happen, did you?
No.
We're gonna get better at that.